Hello, can you listen me?
Oh, great. Yes.
Okay, we are
Okay.
ready, right?
Great.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let's start. Thank you very much, Hans, for the kind introduction. We are going to converse about experience in delivering some digital financial education in different countries. Can you see the screen well, the agenda? Okay, we will talk about how is the digital financial education approach made in different countries. We will show some work samples. Lars will help us to show the videos, and we will talk about some challenge and lesson learned about it. So, financial education is related to life cycle events. We have different risks all over our life cycle, natural disasters, disease, sickness, business, investment needs. And we have financial services. We have savings, loans, insurance, digital service. But how can relate both sides of the panorama? We need in between financial education so people can make better use of the financial services. If they have financial education, they can have better management of their money, more savings, more productive credit, less over indebtedness risk, and of course, this is for the people. For the MFIs, this also works that the portfolio at risk and the credit losses will be less. So there is an incentive and motivation both on side of the client to improve their well-being and on side of the MFIs to reduce their losses and the financial crisis. What is financial education about? It's about improving the financial well-being of low-income families. This is the final end of financial education. That means involving money management decisions and involving family decisions. The financial education delivers knowledge that is oriented to change attitude and motivation to manage money in a different way. With that different behavior change regarding money management, people can start reducing unnecessary expenses. That means increasing savings, take up insurance to protect the family, make a better debt management. So overall, the financial behaviors improve the financial well-being of the people. We have how it works. We deliver a financial education toolkit with in a very simple, useful, and relevant way with videos, interactive trainings, e-learnings, games as an input. As an output, the staff and client trained at branches or online using digital media can start improving their behavior, and as an outcome with those behavioral change regarding less expenses, better planning on how to use the money, more involvement on family regarding financial decisions, uh, people start saving more, protect the family, improve the well-being of the family. So this is the input-output-outcome relation of financial education. And what we have learned that simplicity is the baseline. Leonardo da Vinci used to say that simplicity is the maximum sophistication. Simplicity doesn't mean it's not enough. Simplicity means it's enough for people to get good financial education. We have a phrase here in financial education delivery. If a 10-year-old child or a 70-year-old granny cannot understand it, then we must redo it. So simplicity is the baseline of financial education to be understood. Number two, we talk about customized standardization. We had a nice conversation yesterday with Hans about it. It's not just about standardization, it's customized standardization. Because first we need to adapt the financial education content to local context, the different countries. But once the standardized materials, the videos, the e-learning, the games has been developed, they cannot be greatly modified by the instructor. This way we can assure one of the biggest problems of training, that is how to ensure the standard of quality, in this case in the provision of financial education, and in the interaction with clients. That this interaction is question based. The instructor put questions and makes reflections, and the group create knowledge around the questions and the stories they receive or the information they receive. So what has been the evolution of the digital delivery of financial education so far from now? We started some time ago with the videos, very short stories with some reflection about it, money management. Now we are in the process of creating interactive e-learning, having more interaction with the client, with a more structured and a more comprehensive environment for the education of the client. And finally, we are delivering the beginning of, let's call it, artificial intelligence and more social network interaction with some software that can interact with the client. And depending on what client says, the software gives additional answers and provides additional information. We will see example on these three lines of work that has been developed on financial education. So these are a picture of some examples. On the left, we have the videos developed for Tunisia, ENDA in Tunis. Big MFI, they trained 42,000 clients, 50% of them using digital media. More than 70% of the clients increased their savings. In the middle, we have Egypt, 10 video cartoons, and they are going to use the e-learning to train their clients. And in the right, we have Laos. They develop videos to train on insurance, but they also develop very innovative chatbot using a messenger and a type of a robot to interact with the client together with the call center. So we will see a video cartoon example from Enda, Tunisia. Lars, can you play the video cartoon, please? Then we continue.
عسلامة ومرحبا بكم في برنامجنا كلام صواب.
اليوم إيمان باش نحكيو على كيفاش نبرمجوا للادخار.
زيد فسر لي.
سهل ياسر، لازمني نشري اورديناتور جديد يسوى 600 دينار. قررت باش نشريه بعد عام، كل شهر نخلي 50 دينار على جنب، معناتها 12500 كل جمعة.
اي فكرة، اما منين باش تجيب ل 12500؟
من المصروف الزايد.
كيما شنو مثلا؟
ما عادش نمشي للقهوة كل يوم، كنت نصرف ما بين القهوة والشيشة على الأقل 4 دينارات في النهار.
والله يعطيك الصحة يا زياد، لازمك تشد صحيح مالا.
أنا باش نشد صحيح، وهاو باش نشوفوا كيفاش زينب وعلي عاملين.
فقت بيك.
أمي طيحتي لي قلبي.
قداش تعجبني كي نلقاك تحسب الفلوس اللي لميتهم. ناوي تشري حاجة؟
نحب نشري بسكليت ب60 دينار من 3 شهور. كل يوم من الفلوس اللي تعطيهم لي للكار والفطور نخلي في 500 فرنك.
يعطيك الصحة يا وليدي. هاو التخطيط ولا بلاش؟ حتى انا وبوك قاعدين نلموا باش نبدلوا بيبان الدار الزوز في ال6 شهور الجايين.
6 شهور؟
اي ولدي، الباب يتكلف 120 دينار، نخبوا في 10,000 في الجمعة. اي خليني توا ما عادش عليا بكري، ماشي نطل على خالتك. الو الو، تي وينك يا ليلى؟ هاني جيت.
هاني بحذا جارتي، جابت روبي هبلوا من تركيا. يجي شوف ناخذ يدلو.
لا وخيتي، هاني نستنى فيك قدام الباب.
هيا مرحبا ادخلي يا زينب.
اوه شنو هذا؟ هاي الدنيا عايمه وسقف في قطر. تي كيفاش وصلتي لهالحاله وخيتي؟
لا غالب، يلزمني على الاقل 500 دينار باش نصلحه.
تعرفي كان جيتي عندك برنامج الادخار راكي صلحتي سقف عندك برشا.
برنامج الادخار
في عوض كل ما جارتك تجيب روب تمشي تشري زوز ولا 3، خدتي باش تشري زوز ولا 3 في العام. تو تشوفي كيفاش تلمي حتى اكثر من 500 دينار.
باش تعرف قداش تنجم تدخر يلزمك تنظم حساباتك وتعرف قداش عندك مداخيل ومصاريف.
صور 4 جداول في ورقة، في الأولاني حط الهدف متاعك، في الثاني حط قداش يلزمك فلوس باش تحققه، في الثالث حط قداش يلزمك وقت، وفي الرابع حط قداش يلزمك تدخر كل جمعة ولا كل جمعتين ولا كل شهر.
خطة ادخار مهمة برشا وتنجم تعاوننا في تحقيق أهدافنا. ثبت في المصاريف الزايدة وقداش تنجم تخبي فلوس على جنب كي تنقص منها.
يا أخي أنت مش قلت لي باش تشتري كونجيلاتور للمشروع متاع عمك؟ يلزمك تبرمج، تخطط وتحدد المبلغ والمدة باش تنجم توصل تشريه في الوقت اللي تحب عليه.
يعطيك الصحة زياد، والله فكرة طيبة. الواحد كيف يعرف كيفاش ينظم روحه ومصاريفه ينجم يلم دفتوفة كل مدة باش يوصل يحقق الأهداف متاعو.
After we see the video on ENDA in Tunisia, we will see an example of Myanmar. The difference between Tunisia and Myanmar is that in Myanmar, Alliance developed a video that is using real persons, and it incorporated this video into the normal business as usual. The power of cartoons, video cartoons that were the ones used with ENDA, is that you have the same character that remains over time. With real actors, the problem is that they can move and they can even go to work for your competition. And with cartoons, you can create any different situation that would cost a lot of money with real persons.
Alliance အနေနဲ့အသင်းဝင်တွေအကျိုးစီးပွားကိုရှိပြီးတော့ပြုလုပ်ရမယ့်အကြောင်းအကျိုးရှိပါတယ်။ Alliance အပြင်အခြားနေရာနေပြီးတော့ချင်းငွေယူထားခြင်းရှိမရှိကိုစီစစ်ရပါတယ်။အဲ့လိုအခြားနေရာနှစ်ခုသုံးခုကနေချင်းငွေယူထားမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အသင်းဝင်တွေအနေနဲ့ပြန်ဆက်မဲ့အချိန်မှာအခက်အခဲတွေကြုံတွေ့နိုင်ပါတယ်။အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်နေရာနှစ်ခုသုံးခုကနေချင်းငွေယူထားခြင်းကိုကျွန်တော်အနေနဲ့အားမပေးပါဘူးရှင်။ချင်းငွေလျှောက်ထားစဉ်မှာအသေးစိတ်မြင်မြန်ခြင်းတွေရှိပါမယ်။အသင်းဝင်တွေရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းနဲ့မိသားစုဝင်တွေရဲ့အကြောင်းအရာကိုမြင်မြန်ခြင်းအကြောင်းကတော့လုပ်ငန်းအခြေအနေမှန်ကိုသိရှိမှသာလျှင်အသေးဝင်တွေအတွက်လိုအပ်တဲ့ချင်းငွေပမာဏကိုသတ်မှတ်ပေးနိုင်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်။တင့်တော်တဲ့ချင်းငွေပမာဏချက်များပြီးတော့ဒါမှမဟုတ်နည်းပြီးတော့ချင်းငွေယူခဲ့မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အသေးဝင်တွေအတွက်ငွေကြေးပြဿနာတွေရင်ဆိုင်ရနိုင်ပါတယ်။အဲဒါကြောင့်အလားရကအသေးဝင်တွေကိုငွေကြေးနှုန်းနဲ့မနှမွန်းရစေအောင်အမြဲတမ်းဂရုတစိုက်ဆောင်ရွက်ပေးနေပါတယ်။ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်။
Alliance သည်အသင်းဝင်များ၏ဝေဖန်အကြံပြုချက်များကိုတန်ဖိုးထားပါသည် Alliance ၏ဝန်ဆောင်မှုများဝန်ထမ်းများနှင့်ပတ်သက်၍တစုံတရာဝေဖန်အကြံပြုလိုပါကအောက်ပါနည်းလမ်းများဖြင့်အချိန်မီဆက်သွယ်မေးမြန်းနိုင်ပါသည်ဆက်သွယ်မေးမြန်းနိုင်မည့်နည်းလမ်းများချင်းငွေအရာရှိကွင်းစင်ကြီးကြပ်ရေးမှူးငွေစင်းကိုင်ဝန်ထမ်းထံထားရိုက်မေးမြန်းခြင်းရုံးခွဲမန်နေဂျာထံဆွေးနွေးတင်ပြခြင်းရုံးချုပ်ဖုန်း3992655188တို့ခေါ်ဆိုခြင်းအကြံပြုစာတက်တာပုံတို့အကြံပြုစာပေးပို့ခြင်း email လိပ်စာ info@alliance.mm.com တို့လိပ်မှုပေးပို့ခြင်းအစရှိသောနည်းလမ်းများဖြင့်မိမိဝေဖန်အကြံပြုချက်များကိုရုံးဖွင့်ချိန်နနက်8:00 နာရီခွဲမှညနေ9:00 နာရီခွဲအတွင်းပေးပို့တင်ပြနိုင်ပါသည်ဝိုင်းကြီးကျုပ်စနစ်ဖြင့်လက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးရခြင်းမှာအဖွဲ့ဝင်တဦးနှင့်တဦးအပြန်အလှန်တာဝန်ယူရမည်ဟုသဘောတူညီခြင်းဖြစ်ပါသည်အဖွဲ့ဝင်တဦးမှချင်းငွေစရန်ပြက်ကွက်ခဲ့ပါကတခြားအဖွဲ့များမှတာဝန်ယူဆက်ပေးရပါမည်၎င်းစာရွက်ပေါ်တွင်ချင်းငွေအမှတ်နာမည်လိပ်စာအဖွဲ့အားလုံးရဲ့မှတ်ပုံတင်နံပါတ်နှင့်ချင်းငွေပမာဏတို့ပါဝင်သည်ဒုတိယစာရွက်သည်ငွေပေးချေကတိစာချုပ်ဖြစ်ပြီး၎င်းစာရွက်တွင်ချင်းငွေနှင့်ပတ်သက်သည့်အချက်လက်အားအသေးစိတ်ဖော်ပြထားပါသည်၎င်းစာရွက်ပေါ်တွင်လက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးရခြင်းမှာလူချင်းမင်းသည်သတ်မှတ်သည့်အချိန်အတိုင်းချင်းငွေပေးဆက်ပါမည်ဟုကတိပြုခြင်းဖြစ်သည်တတိယစာရွက်သည်အရေးကြဖြင့်ချင်းငွေပြန်ဆက်ရသည့်အချိန်စရာဖြစ်သည်၎င်းစာရွက်တွင်သတ်မှတ်ထားသောငွေပမာဏသည်သတ်မှတ်သည့်အချိန်တွင်အတိုးနှုန်းအပါအဝင်ပြန်ဆက်မည့်ငွေပမာဏအားအချိန်ရင်းနှင့်တကွလက်ကျန်ငွေပမာဏပါထည့်သွင်းဖော်ပြထားပါသည်ဖော်ပြထားသောအချက်လက်အတိုင်းသဘောတူကြောင်းလက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးရပါမည်ထို့နောက်အချက်လက်ပြည့်စုံပါကချင်းငွေကပ်ကိုလက်ခံရရှိမှာဖြစ်သည်ချင်းငွေဆက်သည့်အချိန်တိုင်းတွင်ချင်းငွေရရှိမှ၎င်းကပ်ပြားပေါ်တွင်လက်ခံကြောင်းအတည်ပြုလက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးပေးမည်ဖြစ်သည်လူချင်းမင်း၏ကိုယ်ရေးအချက်လက်များကိုလုံခြုံစွာထိန်းသိမ်းပေးမည်ဖြစ်ပါသည်
After we see this, we will see also a short video on e-learning, how it works. It's an e-learning that has been developed for LEAD in Egypt. The most important aspect of the e-learning is that it's standardized, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it lowers significantly the cost of providing the training once the content has been developed and put online. So the key advantage of e-learning is standardization, cost reduction, and availability 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Welcome to the financial education platform developed for LEAD Foundation in Egypt. This version is in English. We are working now in the translation into the Arabic version. Let's start the course. We have here several subjects talking about how to save more, how to improve debt management, microinsurance, other courses, and in every course we have 3 tabs. One is about the e-learning, the other is about the videos, and the other is about some documentation that we can have related to the subject. So let's take the e-learning. One of the e-learnings we could take the insurance. Now choosing the e-learning into the insurance. And let's see the difference between insurance and savings.
Insurance versus savings. Emergencies and urgent needs may appear at any time. Save for moments of need. Let us learn. During this module we will learn using a combination of 1. Video 2. Exercises 3. Questions. Insurance is a protection against unexpected risks or events that could damage to ourselves or to our families.
Welcome to It Is Up to You to Improve Your Life.
Hello, Sharif.
Hello, Layla. Have you heard that Lead provides insurance services for its clients?
Insurance? And what is insurance?
It's a mechanism that protects us before unexpected situation, like staying in hospital or death, may it never happen. We'll know more details in today's story.
Sure. Let's go and see.
Saeed, Lead's loan officer is here.
Welcome. How you doing? Please have a seat.
Thank you. I came to remind you to renew your loan.
Yes, I was planning to come to Lead next week in order to renew my loan.
I wanted also to share some good news about a new service that is added to the products. Every loan comes now with an insurance service called حماية Lead.
Insurance? What do you mean by that?
It's a service that protects you and your family and gives you a loan that helps you if anything happens, like if you had a health emergency and had to stay at the hospital, and also in the event of death. The rest of the loan is paid and your family gets a compensation, and all of that for a very small fee.
But I am thankfully very healthy and I do not want to buy any insurance.
It's great that you are already healthy. However, no one knows what will happen in the future. So it's best to stay prepared now and stay stress-free. حماية Lead would protect you and your family from the financial burden of unforeseen future expenses.
Saeed, he's right. You know my sister took a fixed amount for the 2 nights she spent at the hospital when she gave birth.
Yes, I remember. But what if I did not use the insurance? What will happen? Do I get my money back or what?
If you don't enter the hospital, that will be the best thing. You won't be able to get your money back because the concept of insurance is different than saving. It's like a pool of money collected from all the clients. If you didn't benefit from it, maybe your neighbor or your friend will.
I am not really sure that I need it.
Saeed, think of it from a different perspective. You need to understand the importance of protecting yourself and your family against future uncertainties. Understand that you can't afford this insurance on your own because it's very expensive.
Saeed, he's right. We need to protect ourselves. This is a good product. Who knows what will happen tomorrow?
It's okay, Amal. You are right. I will go to Lead tomorrow in order to renew my loan and take the insurance.
What do you think about today's experience? I consider that it is very important to secure a family from unexpected events. If a child, spouse, life partner or parent are dependent on us and on our income, we need to have an insurance.
Right. We don't get insurance because we're going to die or have an accident, but because we love our family and we want to protect them, and we must do so. The good thing is that we only need to add a small payment to our loan payments to provide safety for us and our families.
Insurance is a financial service that protects us against the risks.
If those risks do not happen, you don't get your payment back because your payment was instead used to help other people who needed it. And I know I will benefit if I ever need it.
Those are excellent benefits. This is all for today. To learn more about حماية Lead, please ask your loan officer to enroll in one of Lead's training sessions on financial education. Take care and goodbye.
What are your key learnings or reflections from the story? You can type your learnings in the brown box.
Well, my key reflection is that I may need an insurance to protect my family. Then after I finish the evaluation, I click next.
I realized that an insurance can protect me and my family against undesired situations or risks. Do you have an insurance that protects your family? Please select one of the following options. Yes. Maybe in the future. No.
I need to select an option, so I would say maybe in the future.
Thanks for your answer. I encourage you to apply the learning of history to improve your life. Save 5% of your income for emergencies and 10% for your financial needs. No one is safe from emergencies, It is better to be safe than sorry. How much time would it take to save $200 for emergencies, if I can save $2 per day? Savings goal, for emergencies. Let us see an example. Column 1. How much money do I need for emergencies? In this case, I need $200. Column 2. How much can I save per period? Day, week, fortnight, or month? In this case I can save $2 daily. Column 3. How much time will it take me to get to the goal? To know the time, I have to divide column 1, that is $200, by column 2, that is $2 daily. This results in 100 days. That is the time I will need to save $200, by saving $2 every day. Savings, for emergencies. Prepare your own saving goal for emergencies, by filling in the brown boxes below.
I will need 1,000 for my emergencies, and I can save, let's say, 10 per day. So I will need about 100, that is 1,000 divided by 10, to get my saving goal. After I finish, I click next.
7 goal form. If you want to download the format, please make click in the blue text with the word download. As an emergency can appear at any time, should I rely only on my savings to protect my family? Option 1. I should have an insurance to be protected at all times. Savings are for emergencies non-covered by the insurance. Option 2. Yes, saving for emergencies is enough. It is better to rely on my own saving, rather than on an insurance company.
I make here an analysis. My savings cannot be so big, so my savings would be good for small emergencies, but not for big ones. So to stay protected and protect my family at all times, I will choose option 1. Let's see.
Congratulations for your good selection.
What would have happened if I would have chosen option 2?
As emergencies can happen at any time, and savings can take longer, it is better to have an insurance to protect your family soon. Option 1 is better.
So I see here the correct answer.
Thank you for learning with us. Please, answer the online question by clicking on the blue box below.
So I'll take the online survey. So I try to answer why it's important to save for emergency. How much is the minimum that I should save for emergency? Let's say, how useful was this course? Shorter video cartoon to improve and make it better. So after I finish, I send it. All the answers will be stored online. And I received immediate feedback on what was the correct answer. In this case, it was 5%. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And then we will talk about the e-learning experience regarding putting a link with the social media. This is the experience of IMI in Laos. We will see an example how we can make an interaction. What is the objective of the interaction? We have different interactions that we can program. This is a chatbot that works together with Messenger. So we can program what message we want the client to receive at what time, after initial message, after 30 seconds, after 1 minute, after 1 day, different message that we deliver to the client in different moments. Then we have the artificial, what they call artificial intelligence, AI. This is different interaction that, depending on what client says, showed here in green color, will be sent by the machine to the client. And let's see an example here. I have my messenger in Facebook, so I just received the welcome for the financial education training. I received the first money management secret to stay away from unnecessary expenses every day. And before spending, ask yourself, is it necessary? Is it urgent? Can I postpone it? So I can type a word, let's say savings, credit, or insurance, and I will get some type of information. I'm going to say savings just to see what happens. And immediately I receive a key message regarding savings. Save a little every day. Even a coin saved can make a difference in time. And save first before start spending. Put away 10% of the money you receive and do not touch it. Okay, fine. But I want to know about credit. So I type credit here. Or I could type loan, and I receive the key message on loans. Likewise with insurance. or with budget. So it's a, sorry, this is a mistake, but yet. So depending on what I type, what the client types, the client will receive information, and if I want to know additional information, I can receive information from where to go. I choose this link. I can receive videos. I have here the connection. So this is the lead financial education platform. I do. Let's start the course. I have here the e-learnings, the videos, the document for different microinsurance, other courses, credit, debt management. So once I start this, I can start with the e-learning. So this is the essence of the how the e-learning works. To conclude my presentation, I will talk about the challenge and lesson learned. First challenge have to do with technology understanding, and not just from the client side, also from the MFI management side. Second challenge, how to can we make more promotion? Once we develop the e-learning, the video cartoons, the videos, how can we scale up these videos, this digital media to hundreds of thousands of persons? And number three, in reality, in underdeveloped or developing countries, let's call it, we have to overcome some logistical limitations to make sure that televisions, projectors are there, the speakers work well, access to mobiles and to the internet to the client, because sometimes the client don't have smart device or don't have internet access. So what we have learned regarding this? Regarding the technology understanding, we have learned that it's very important to have an early involvement of the CEO and the management team and show how technology works and what benefits they will have on this technology. Regarding on the promotion and scaling up, it's important not just to build the business case, the cost-benefit analysis, to see how much I'm going to invest in financial education and what is the return expected in more savings, less portfolio at risk, more clients, but also to develop a very smart communication strategy to outreach clients and also to convince loan officers to provide financial education. And regarding the logistical limitation, of course, we need to make sure that enough budget will be allocated. Give a close follow-up. In one country, we had experience that it was everything ready, the money was there, they bought the television, but it took them 2 or 3 months to get the televisions into the branches, so it was just a accountability problem. We also need to make sure that if the client don't have the mobile, if the client don't have the internet access, why don't we see a business opportunity there and find a way to finance them a mobile and even the internet access and give them a parallel loan so they will pay $1 or $2 additional per month and they will have access to the technology. But if there are also some fears from the financial institution that they don't want to deliver the content they develop online because they fear that the competition will copy-paste. Well, in that case, they can deliver it offline in the branches or just copy to the smart mobiles of the client the content of the financial education. But in my experience, the best way to avoid being copied is to be innovating the whole time. So this is my final slide. An effective financial education learning using digital media assures standard quality on the training and the content on the process, can reduce the cost of delivery financial education, and if properly done with good communication strategy, can really outreach a big scale of clients. So this is for my presentation. We finally solved the technology issue. Congratulations, Lars.
Thank you.
If there is any question, I'm happy to answer.
It's good. I just want to comment on the video of Alliance. You have seen that there was a bit mismatch, unfortunately, between the text and the image. So they embedded client information with financial literacy and also with information on client rights, on client protection. So they use that as an digital embedded part of their operations of their group lending operations by video. And that will assure them in two ways. And on the one hand, the videos are appreciated and maybe more, let's say, more appreciated and attractive for the clients. And they also do explain it very correctly, whereas any field staff can have maybe a not so good day and then don't explain it correctly. And secondly, it will cut down on operational cost once there is the tablet there in the field. So then that can be shown on tablets or in branches on TV screens. And during that time, the field staff doing this group lending formation and also then the disbursement can do basically other tasks while the explanation is done on this video. So that is the embedded combination of financial literacy, client protection, and product explanation. So that should, once the investment costs were done, that is to what the scbf has contributed to develop the methodology, the training materials, and also the training of the staff to also explain those videos if there are additional questions. Actually, then the marginal cost may be then almost zero, because it will save staff time. And then there are some additional financial literacy messages embedded in those client production, in this client operation of formation of group loans and the disbursement time. And in the case of Ender, there are a huge, it's the microfinance institution. They have 250, 300,000, and they have an NGO, and they have a very strong commitment to financial education already for years, and they wanted just to have also more efficient and more attractive ways to deliver this financial education, as their client do not have the time like traditionally sitting in workshops and so on. And that is where they also ask for assistance, but this is done basically by the NGO. And in the case of LEAD, they have a very strong also social commitment. They want that the clients will effectively use better the financial services, and that means also a behavior change in money management. And that also at the same time, that is also good for their business. So, I mean, this is a bit a plaidoyer for financial education embedded on operation through digital technologies, which would make sense also from the business case. But now, are there any specific questions to Juan? I will pass on the phone that he can then hear that. Are there any questions to Juan?
Hola, Juan. Muchas
Hola.
gracias.
Hola.
So, thank you a lot. You talked a lot about input, I find, and yeah, you said input, output, and outcome, and there was very little on outcome. I saw some people save 77% more. Can you give us more examples?
Yes.
Something striking, if one MFI abolishes classroom-based training altogether and says, look, digital was so efficient, we are now doing this fully digital. Do you have more examples?
Yes, sure.
On the outcomes?
Thank you for your question. Unfortunately, the time is always a limitation, so we need to be very concrete on this. So, one side is the behavioral change that creates better money management and reduction in unnecessary expenses. The other side is the increase in savings that we already conversed. But before that increase in savings, there is also some outcomes regarding how the clients, especially women, share what they have learned regarding money management with the family members, especially the husband and the children. Other aspect is that they have a different control on their expenses. They separate business expenses and household expenses, so they can have a better control on how they manage their business and their family expenses. And sometimes they even realize that they were losing money in certain items instead of making money, so they make a better business decision. The other aspect is that nobody can control how much debt you can take, only you can do it. So they are more aware of how much debt they really can take, and they are more, even if they are facing debt problems, they are more aware of how can they get out of that debt problem. So they receive a way out. So if when you find people with more savings, with more control on their expenses, with more control on their debt, it's also a big probability to find that they will have less problems with debt payment. We have not yet got into the exact correlation between how much the credit losses have reduced in the MFIs compared with the savings increase, but we will do in the near future. But this is the sequence. So there are some behavioral changes, some changes in indicators, and some changes in the way the MFIs can receive additional, not just, let's say, savings and let portfolio at risk, but also an additional benefit, non-expected benefit, is that when they deliver the financial education with the client, more people realize that they are providing financial education. Sometimes they come just to learn about financial education, and then they become clients of the financial education. So additional clients is another benefit.
Okay, thank you very much, Juan. Now we will stop you because we already behind the plenary decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans, and for your support to this financial education initiative.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Now the speakers, please come here in front. So you see your cards. So we will start the plenary discussion. Can you please just sit? Okay, here. So then, just go, Martin and Martin. I would just have two entry questions. So to Mark and to Christian. So, I mean, your market entrance was only possible through your very competitive IT. So how do you further develop your IT as keeping this competitive edge in order to further then disrupting the market? And maybe you can a little bit explain, okay, how in the first instance, I mean, in the case of Sync Group, we know that you were an IT company originally, and then basically you found financial inclusion as one application, if I may say so. But maybe that would be, could you a little bit elaborate, and also Christian, I mean, really the strategic competitive edge of your IT and how you're going to maintain that.
So we decided to have Swiss developers, not only Mexican developers. And
I disagreed with my CTO because he never went to emerging markets except for vacation, and he was really pushing for Swiss developers. And then he said something really interesting: is to have a good developer, you need three things. You need someone who knows very well the language, the coding is like a language, French, English, so he has to know very well this language that computers speak, let's say. He has to have an algorithmic thinking, because if you know the language, you can just, write 100 pages instead of one. And you really have to be able to write everything in one page. So you need to have the language, but also an algorithm thinking that's difficult to find. And he has to be feel very bad during these nights if he feels he did not do a good job. And it's tough to find those profiles anywhere, but I really believe that yes, we have really good profiles like this in Switzerland. So basically for us at the beginning it was we want to make sure the app doesn't crash it. And it doesn't crash. So if you want to build trust with customer, the minimum you have to do is your app doesn't crash. But you all have apps that crashes all the time. So you know it's difficult, especially on Android. And now we are there. So we manage this minimum with a good mix of developers, and we have to stay alive and understand that what we do is not rocket science. So if what we do is successful, other will come. And we bet a lot on machine learning and intelligence, artificial intelligence. So it's a bet that takes a lot of time and energy. And we are lucky to be also in Switzerland because we have good labs in machine learning at Zurich and Lausanne, the polytechnical schools. And that's, if I would have to take one example, that's where we have to invest a lot, and that's where we have an edge compared to local players. We can really take the best out of here and out of the markets where we work.
Can you pass the mic, please?
So I thought it was an interesting question, Hans, because we came from a technical background. So, I think the design and the architecture, it's like a building, has to be absolutely solid from day one. And so be designed so that it's very flexible. And I think when you go into the design principles of the IT architecture, it's got to be quite generic. So by saying that if you do develop a back office administration capabilities, you'll be able to do lending, savings, banking, and everything. So there's quite a core element of the business analysis required around the IT that needs to give input to IT. And so when we look at the skills on the IT side, we look for, interesting on our side, people with quite a strong bias towards financial services, understanding all of the building blocks, because they will then come up with this generic solution. But having said that, I actually don't think IT is the competitive edge. I would have probably said that to you 9 months ago, but in our learnings, we discovered the competitive edge really lies in understanding the customer. In this new world we're working in, the problem is if you lead with the IT, then everything becomes IT. So what you really want to do is understand the customer and the journey of the customer. And the customer is not in the self-directed space completely. Us in the room might be, but when we start to look at the markets we go into, there's certainly a journey and investment required from assisted to self-directed, and you need to have the technology that goes across that, and very often that is driven, in our case, our views completely change. We think the customer sits at the center of everything.
Thank you very much. I have one question more from the funder perspective to Solène in regard to how funders can support digital innovations which will overcome the digital gender gap that is clearly identified in publications of CGAP, that the financial inclusion gender gap is even widening through the digital gender gap. And to Martin, then the question, you mentioned it already in your presentation, job creation. I mean, we as a funder, we basically want to buy impact, and then we have to report on that. And the impact is employment and income generation, and maybe some thoughts how, and that is the challenge then for those practitioners, how they can do it in a cost efficient and effective, incredible way, then really report on particular employment generation. So you have a bit some time, so please, Solène.
Okay, question about female to me, only female. Okay, so social payments, digital social payments target women. So women are included in this trend already, and digital social payments have a very positive impact on women because it allows them to get rid of some other dependency towards local social networks. So for instance, in Mexico, they receive the cash instead of receiving cash on a bank account. And this allows them to hide the fact that they are receiving this money to their husbands and to the money lender, for instance. So this is a very positive point. So social payments can be a very good vehicle and tool to favor digitalization and to reduce the digital gender gap. What I've seen is that in Burkina Faso, for instance, women own a cell phone, but they hardly use it to receive money. They use it to make phone calls. And but as soon as they have some income generating activities, so for instance, small merchants, they use mobile banking. So I think that you cannot avoid the fact that women need to have their own salary, their own income, and financial services will never challenge unbalanced power relationships within the household if women don't have access to money at some point, to income generating activities, to jobs. Which also drives me to a bigger question, is that we can provide insurance products, but we should also think about national protection systems, job and employment policies for those people, because we cannot solve everything with financial products and with insurance or debt. Thanks.
Okay, my question was on employment generation. Yeah, if I had the answer how to create 1 million jobs in 2 years, I would.
How to measure and report it?
Because
we were involved in some impact studies.
Okay.
Always, we don't have the clear methodology and so on, but every funder wants to know how many jobs were.
Okay, that's the easier question.
What? Okay.
I'm relieved. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Well, I can only speak for Equitree, where I think it's pretty straightforward how you measure impact. So we know from the researchers from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the others, the investees who come to us and who get the first investment, they have an average employment rate of 1.1, apart from themselves. So most of them have one other person who is, of course, informally working. Nobody is socially insured and has a working contract and is paying taxes because they are informal. So, and then you go from there. You can ask them for, with every investment, so when you apply for the next investment, how many employees do you have now? How many are informal? How many formal? How many part-time? How many full-time? And you can track that over time. Then in the end, you might say, okay, the superstars have a difference from 6 employees now. They started with 1, so 5 it is. You have a little bit maybe of a challenge of attribution. It could also be that there were some other things, but if you do it smartly with control groups or something, RCTs, randomized control trials, you could find out. At least the data collection is quite easy.
I mean, okay.
Currently,
can you take the mic?
So I think you're completely right, and I have very limited access to MIS systems of MFIs or banks, but what I've seen is they just don't track that simple number after the first application. And it's puzzling why they don't. Neither asset growth nor employment numbers. And yeah, because it's been in the initial loan application file of the loan officer, sometime offline and decentralized. And is that just I have a bad sample of examples, or why is it not done more widely?
Okay, yesterday I had a call with the Indonesian team who was running the show there, and I said, look, we must include in every investment application now this question. And why must we include it? And why did I ask this yesterday? Because I'm on the lookout for scale-up, possibly scale-up funding, and I realize all the funders ask for it. So even the social impact investors that we're looking for, because we're not looking at grants, because that would sort of terminate the business model. So there's a need now for us to do it. So we will. And I think next week we will have it implemented.
Well, I mean, you're very okay. I would like now to collect a series of questions. If you could please just indicate who you are and to who you would like to pose the questions. And
they in the meantime would have time already to think about the answers. So, who would like to start? Everything already clear? Oh, okay, Annette.
Sorry, I don't want to take too much time, and I apologize. I've not introduced myself. Annette Kraus from University of Zurich. I have a question to you, Martin. Why are you needed from the point of view of the superstars? The few superstars that I have experienced, finance is not the constraint, and we know that from a few studies. And do you think you really get the superstars, or do you get the almost superstars? I got a few answers when you came to the mentoring and the formalization, but I'm still a little puzzled why they come to you.
Who else has a question? Yeah.
Irene Loder from the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, and my question is going actually to the entire team of the presenters of the case studies. You came with your own different approach, but mainly more from a technology perspective. Why have you not went through a bank or kept in a bank to do it? And what would be your lessons for the banks to attract your services, which you have now offered in the market, to include into their own services and to close this gap between fintech and banks?
Any further questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Hans-Peter Hössli, GFA Hamburg and St. Gallen. To Solène, I have just a simple question. Why did you select Morocco? It seems to me not a really perfect country. They have not a good distribution of mobile phones, and you have not reached really a lot of people there. So what was the interesting part of choosing Morocco?
Any further questions? Okay, then let's start with the question from Annette to Martin.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the question. One possibility is that your superstars are different from mine. We don't know, we haven't compared yet. The superstars that I know, surprisingly from this research that we recently got done, they have very little access to financing, which was even surprising to me, because in Indonesia you have so many MFIs, so I thought they could just compare and get it from every street corner. But for some reason that we haven't dug into further yet is they don't. So the financing might be one part, but what also comes out of the research is this difference between transformational and subsistence, let's say, investees. And the ones who are transformational, they say, yes, the money is good, but I'm here even more for the mentoring. So maybe they have over-exaggerated expectations. Well, I don't know. We are very young in this mentoring thing. The first mentoring tandem went running in November, so it's only 4 months. But they are thinking, if I have a business coach who is experienced and who can give me practical business tips, I can formalize faster. And if he can also help me to manage things better, to give me marketing tips and so on and so forth, that's good for me. So the superstars were mostly saying the most attractive factor of the entire program was not the easy financing with those very loose terms, it was more the mentoring thing. So there seems to be a demand. If we can fulfill it is another question.
Okay, now the questions from Irene. Maybe Mark could start, and then we just go.
So Vienna, it's a good question. In every territory, the bank partners, strategic alliance, and identifying the bank partners at the heart of our theme. We have to have that. What makes it challenging and difficult is that we have the full vertical capability for insurance, but we don't want to be a bank. We want to partner with a bank. So the challenge is that the banks are faced with legacy. So I'm going to use the Uber example again. The single reason why people don't like banks at the bottom end of the market is because the fees, the monthly fees and the transaction fees. They hate banks for that. But that is the core of many banks' business model. So it's very, very, very tough to go into the market where you effectively have to disrupt in a way these legacy banks and work with a bank who's prepared to grow market share. What works for us and where the growth banks are very excited. So we tend to not go for the top end of the market, but more for the bottom end of the banks, and we're looking for bank partners who want to grow. When they see our customer base and potential customer base, and they can only get 10% of that customer base, they will become the largest bank by customer size in every market we go to, so they get excited. And then secondly, when they see our distribution capability with the branches that we roll out across countries and nationally, they immediately see a branch bank agent network. And if any of you guys know what it costs to set up a branch network for a bank, we're able to do that and provide a very, very cost-effective solution. But it is a strategic alliance. We don't want to climb into the retail banking space. We don't want to do lending, but we might borrow capital from them to do lending. Okay.
Okay, so we go around. Our business model is actually the opposite of what banks do. So it's also a business model challenge. Yeah? So when we were looking for people to actually run these things on the ground, one thing we said is, please don't hire anyone from an MFI, because they still have this thing people need to really repay, and I need to be careful that the risk is not too high. We actually need to run risks. So it might even be that MFIs get really scared, because now there's a guy in town who's giving interest-free lending and very loose terms while they have their weekly group meetings. So obviously some customers might say, well, which one is more convenient for me? So in the selection phase, I don't think we are compatible. We're actually competitors. When it comes to the formalization stage, that changes, because then the funding amount will be so high that it's not our business. So we will pass them over to banks. And I'm pretty sure finding a banking partner there is very easy, because now you give them pre-selected customers with a track record and they're formalized. So that should be more the easy part of
it. I think you got enough. Nothing to add.
Banking partners, Mexico.
So
one of them.
Just I agree with the legacy. A very important metric is the acquisition cost of a customer. And banks, because of the branch, because of all the infrastructure that they have, everything is targeted for more mature clients, for bigger clients that give you a lifetime value which is much above what a micro or small business would give to you. So they're a bit stuck with that. The pivot would be really huge for them to do it in-house. It's really difficult for them to attack the base of the pyramid and be sustainable. So most of the time they do it because the donor really push, but then they say, okay, we cannot make money from this segment. That's probably why new models are coming.
About the question about why Morocco, it's not my choice. It's SCBF choice, so maybe Antram, you can add a few words.
Okay, but maybe you could say then, okay, in regard to other countries, where, because you learned that quite in a few countries, studies on mobile banking and digital money transfer. But actually the question has to be answered by Christian, because he brought those proposals to the SCBF.
You will not be happy, huh? I think it's because there was money for Northern Africa, and not for other places.
So the justification about I mean those proposals with Alvarez Bank.
Okay.
And we were not honest at that time of application.
Okay, there are so many ways to answer, but another way to answer is, it's true that when you have such a big player, 6 million customers, you have you talk to the president, they really want to do things, you really feel you are into something and that you can do something big. So that's also another reason why Morocco. And then Morocco has obviously many needs. So it's not a country. No, it's not like I don't know, Uruguay. So I think the needs are there. The opportunity to do something really big with a lot of impact was there, and there were people who really wanted to channel money to Northern Africa. You mix and you get projects in Morocco.
I think what can be added
strangely, but if you see publications that Morocco was praised to have the best financial sector regulation in the whole MENA region. So maybe it's still worse in the other MENA countries. So I would like to invite for another round of questions.
Christoph Lichte from SECO. So we've discussed a lot about financial inclusion today also, you know, this word is dropped a few times, but I think there's the theoretical approach, but there have been a kind of divergent opinions I hear, you know. So the question is a bit what the practical implications, the business perspective it could be from your end. And I think the question is probably best placed with Christian, I would say. So we are designing a project on financial inclusion. We are still thinking about what this should imply. You know, should it be the poorest? Should it be the rural? Should it include everyone? Should it include SMEs? Well, MSMEs. Should it include individuals? What's the cost benefit basically also for the whole for being inclusive in this system? So just be interesting to hear from you from a practical perspective what it means for you or for your clients. To be financially inclusive, whether it's digital or not. That is up to you.
Any further questions? So then that will be the last one.
The question is what it means to me and to my clients to be financially inclusive. Well, for us, it's really the reason why we created the company. So it's we acknowledge that small businesses and micro merchants in emerging markets work more than you and me, and that nobody wants to do business with them, and they have really crappy products and solutions. And we believe that with technology today and with a bit of energy and there is really a way to be sustainable and give them tools that they need to work with more peace of mind and to feel that they can take care of their family thanks to a stable business yes, that technology is not just done for the big ones. But your question was not that.
From a donor perspective, for example, do you think it is cost effective to define financial inclusion to reach the last each one in the Zapatista community in Mexico, for example? Because that's what we are asked to do.
I little by little I'm changing my mind on that, and I think we should try to be just the last push required to move to the frontier and expand. That's exactly what we did with Kiwi. We said, okay, I don't like cards. I would prefer to be here and present my wallet. It's more innovative. But we said, okay, but let's focus on what we can do, and we know that the ecosystem is taking care of half of the equation. Let's do the other half. It's easier. So the donors should also think a bit that way, I think, to say, don't do the toughest project, but let's try to see where the private sector is still reluctant to really inject something and push pilots, push tests. I think it would be really cost effective, and then it doesn't mean we should abandon more cutting edge stuff. I really believe we have to inject a lot of donor money for rural projects in rural areas, very low density rural projects where people don't need working capital but really are into long-term cash flows. We are so far from having something from the private sector there that I think it will not be cost effective. You will be disappointed because you will have not many people touched, but you have to, probably the donors have to do something also there. But in terms of scale, many times I see the donors committing this mistake to believe that you will have the cutting edge rural thing and scale.
I'm not sure we can have both at the same time. Then just if I can just take a few seconds on financial education, I liked what we heard about the channels. I think the digital channels are really happening. It's not just workshops anymore, but we really have in the financial industry, in emerging markets, the products are so bad still. And you have seen how paternalistic it is. It's really annoying. It's really like, I really believe that most of the products those companies are pushing are really badly designed still. And I've seen 3 pages contracts, and it's important for you to read all the documentation. Come on, who here reads the 10 pages contracts? Or so we just tick and hope that the terms of conditions are good for us, and pray and do it. No, so why do we ask to those people to be so smart and so rational in their decision making? So I would rather invest much more in pushing financial institutions to do better products and less in paternalistic stuff like this.
So they wanted to.
The conclusion for you.
No?
Just on your segmentation that you're talking about with financial inclusion, I don't know what your name was, but I know we did speak to each other. And I think we've probably learned similar to what Christian has learned. If you go to the very bottom end of the market, that's where we wouldn't go anymore. We started out there. There are low-hanging fruits, lots of low-hanging fruits. And it's interesting, for example, like I would agree with Christian, in the SME space, they are excluded from access to financial services. We've got small employers where the large financial institutions are not going in with group scheme proposals to these organizations. They're being neglected. So there's a lot of these low-hanging fruits. And then the second point I'd make is try and put a bit more of a social anthropology study behind to understand how these societies operate. Specifically at the bottom end, you'll see they get supported by their families at the next level. So you'll find that at the mid-foundation markets, they kind of like get supported by the entry-level mass markets and the next level. So there's this kind of like support. And the best example I can give to you is, you probably live in a middle-class suburb or an affluent suburb. And you go and borrow sugar from your neighbor next door, it's a bit more difficult. But it's interesting when you move down the social schemes at the very bottom, there's almost an expectation, if I need sugar today, I'll get it, because tomorrow you're going to come and ask me for sugar or milk. So that society works very, very differently. And it comes back to the work we've done on customer segmentation, understand the customer and how they operate. So I would put a lot of effort into social anthropology studies and understanding the communities to back your evidence.
I will tell you where I live.
Okay, last question.
Yeah, as I am working in Haiti, where we have started with microfinancing, and banks, they are really, they don't accept so much the clients of our microfinancing. And my question is, first, have you, for example, with your program, touched directly the clients in the rural area without going through banks? And what is the problem for the government or for the bank system in the countries when you come up with your 3 different inputs, quite different from the banks, but treating with clients? It means Mark, Martin and Christian, they have 3 systems, and it would be nice to know if they have problems in their countries with the government or with
the regulator.
Yeah, with the regulator.
Of course. Would you like to start?
So if I start with the regulator first before the banks. When we start opening the conversation with the regulators, we actually try and get exposure to the government. Because when you start to talk about financial inclusion and getting to the bottom end of the market, for those of you who understand some economic principles, if you can effectively have an impact on savings in the GDP equation, then you have an impact on the growth in the economy. So very often the government understands that, but when you go down to the licensing regulators, they only implement what's on paper. So we have quite a to and fro process. So in Zimbabwe, where I did come up with the idea of the microinsurance policy in partnership with the regulator, I only got that right because I first went to the permanent secretary in finance and explained to them the economic impact of what we would be doing in their country. On the basis of that, she took a baseball bat out and hit the regulator, and we got going. So it is a to and fro process. Obviously, we don't do it in a negative way, but where there is quite a bit of to and fro between government who understands the economics and the economic impact versus the regulators who have to apply the regulation. So if I had to go to a regulator and there wasn't microinsurance policy framework, they would not talk about it. Even though they're busy drafting it, we have to go back to the government and play a to and fro process. Then on the bank side, your other second question is, when we do go into these partnerships, we're building the future customer of the bank. So in the informal sector, these customers do not have pay slips. So if you go to the retail or the normal banking environment, the banks want a pay slip, they want you to have a property, they want you to have a formal job. What we're doing is we're building information and profiling the customer. So at some point in time, we trigger a lead to the bank to say, this guy wants to put much more money in the mobile wallet on our side than because we're seeing his transactional activity. Can you not maybe offer or take him in as a blue card member into your bank? So there's definitely benefits for the bank. They don't have to capitalize growing the customer. We do that. We assist with that and then hand it over as a lead.
Okay. We are in the fortunate position that the regulator in Indonesia at least loves us. I think they have awarded us 2 or 3 innovation prizes. Regulation is not an obstacle, so we didn't have to tweak and twist anything. So that was good. We are not rural. I think one of your questions was around rural. We are in an urban satellite city of Jakarta where we do this. Still, we are sort of say rural enough that we have a problem with the banks who do the e-money, because we say every investee has to open an e-money account, which is not prevalent in Indonesia. Now we are, of course, the stronger leader. We say you only get the credit if you open a mobile wallet. So they do, of course, but then we need to teach them. And then the banks, their ATM infrastructure is actually quite fast spread. So this proximity issue that we heard about plays a role. Now, so we chose a bank that had actually teamed up with some of those convenience stores, the Oxxos of Indonesia, so to say, where you can actually also over the counter do banking transactions. And then, things went into detail. Those people there at the cashier were not properly trained. So even when it was close by, but still nobody had a clue how to actually cash out on a mobile money. Then the customer themselves, they get the money, they need to have a PIN, and then they only start repaying after 3 months. Of course, the PIN is forgotten. So, it's those nitty-gritty things that we had to deal with, but nothing, let's say, show-stopping. So after some training, education, talking with the banks to improve training on their outlets, that one improved. So now it's not ideal, but it's okay.
So it's clear that banks in Haiti, for most of banks, they don't want those customers because they are not, I told you about those acquisition costs, no? It costs too much to get them, and at the same time, they go all the time to the branch to ask questions, and the other customers becomes annoyed, and so for many reasons they really don't want them. That's why they created Barrett Cash also. It's one of the reasons why they did not want them on the branch. But then on our side, we are urban. I see that the first thing happening in rural is just, it's already good, but it's the rural families getting money from the guys in the cities, no? P2P. Or from outside of the country. I think this money I think we should not inject donor money on that. It's telcos doing that, and it will be GAFA replacing telcos doing that. WhatsApp, you will send money through WhatsApp, Alipay, etc. So it's going to happen. But what is really difficult in rural areas, I think, is just how to assess the risk to give loans that will be repaid 1 year from now. Or I think it's on the product side and that you really have big difficulties in rural areas. Personally, I know nothing about rural finance, and I have the feeling it's really too difficult to assess the risk for loans. And I think the ones who did very well the last few years are the insurers. No, you do better and better on that on the satellites. Okay.
So I just want to shortly conclude the main lessons.
You have to use this, but the guys can
also. The main lessons learned is actually very much in line what is also the lessons learned by the donor community, the SIGA platform and the social performance task force that just had a big event, the client learning event, and it is really about learning and listening to customers and client segmentation. So all of you, particularly Mark, has very much indicated that, and we have also heard a lot of the very bad products with little client value. And it also is important, this interaction with clients, this is very important. So Mark now even think that is more important than the technology. Now, having changed his mind that the technology can always drive, and there is certainly all cannot be digital. They are the digital divides, and customers, they want to have also a personal touch, and that is also very, very clear. And also the contribution from Juan, that in financial education it's good to have interactive platforms, so where that is much more, let's say, client focused, so it's interactive. So some way there must be the financial and non-financial providers must have either via hotlines or via this interactive platforms, or this basically Facebook follower groups, like we saw in the case of EMI, a small MFI in Laos. That is needed. So purely the technology and the digital delivery will not be sufficient. It will not work. It has to come with this kind of personal touch, where there are different ways. Maybe the most cost efficient one are those social medias, particularly in countries, even in Laos. I mean, for financial inclusion, it is maybe the third last country, but there Facebook has such a wide still. I mean, maybe even now after all those kind of data insecurity and all this mishandling. But in Laos, it is so widespread, and this is why then EMI is using this as a chat box interaction with their clients. And then, of course, what is also key is the social commitment, and by reinvesting profits, I think Mark made it very clear, but important is also that he stressed that you have to make profit in order to do good. So it's then the way how you use that profit. So if you reinvest it, you mutualize insurance systems, or you're creating almost like a movement. That was also how here in Europe 100 years ago financial inclusion happened. I mean, that is where the great time of Raiffeisen Bank and so on really brought benefit to the clients and actually to the whole economies. So that is also, I think, a lessons learned. Very interesting also that from Christian to say that funders are too obsessed with the latest innovations by not exploiting existing tools which are in the market and which will allow for much faster upscaling, like using cards. And so that is certainly for my colleagues from SECO and SDC, and also the way then to disrupt in terms of really to end the dormant accounts, that will not be obsessed by the quantitative KPIs, because they're easily to measure, that we just say, okay, how many accounts created for how much contributions from funders. That applies not only to the public, but the same also to the private foundations that are actually getting almost more important budget-wise than the traditional public donors. If I look at Gates Foundation, MasterCard, and Visa Card Foundation, and some other foundations. I think also what comes out in different ways is this, the social commitment, we can also say responsible finance. And I think also then the presentation also on the financial education, but that is in a very broad sense. So it's not only financial literacy training, is also a reflection of responsible finance, and that is certainly the let's say the minimum bottom line of what funders can support. At least it must be responsible, which means do not harm clients. So I want to thank very much those speakers coming here for their great presentations. I want to apologize for the very technology challenges here in this building, but I also want to thank very much Lars, who is now helping already on the next event for the scbf members and partners. Without him, we would have seen even less digital presentations, and I think next time we would have it also outside outside SDCs to be less disruptive. So we will have this year for sure a forum my colleagues will organize. It's a kind of a rehearsal of the gender lens in financial inclusion. That will be in October or November. And I will organize one on Islamic finance. I don't know yet. It could also be just early next year. So I really want to thank very much also the members of the forum, and we are also open through communication to Franziska and Janine, to who I'm very thankful. They help us like always. Also, please have a look to the share web, where all the presentations, or almost all, will be now uploaded. And please understand also for that the federal government is trying really to have to cut costs, and also for ecological reasons, that we don't print out like we still did 5-6 years ago, all the presentations and so on. So please download them and also have a look at the information material which was prepared by Franziska. So thank you very much for that. And now for the SCBF members and partners, we still have a short follow-up meeting in the next house. So let's go. Maybe Peter could go with the first group, and I will go with the last group, seeing that everything is emptied here, and I will then close the door. Thank you very much for coming, and wish you a good evening.
gemacht, dass ich noch mit ihr hier bleibe.
Ja, komm doch mit.
Achso, ich muss jetzt. Ach so, hier das losmachen.
Aber ich finde es ein bisschen tragisch. Ich sage nicht, dass es bei uns besser ist, dass es keinen Menschen gibt, den man einfach holen kann.
Das ist die Deza. Wir haben nichts mehr. Alles ist wegrationiert.
Ich kann ihn technisch selber gesagt, okay, wen
Aber er hat es fantastisch gemacht.
Ja, natürlich habe ich ihm auch gesagt,
Das
wen
habe
kannst
ich
du
auch
fragen? Kannst du seine weißt du, irgendwie, aber